This is something that God revealed to me that stopped me from being offended by false prophets. The only other reason that the false prophets were of any relevance to Elijah was because of their numbers. When Elijah spoke with God in 1 Kings 19 verse 10, he tried to explain his actions by saying, "They killed your prophets with the sword, and I am the only one left, and now they seek my life to take it away." So Elijah thought that he was the only prophet of God left, and because he felt outnumbered, Elijah killed all 450 of them. But here's the thing. In the greater scheme of things, killing them was only a temporary solution to a much larger problem. Because what was more urgent was to deal with Baal, the spirit empowering the false prophets. Because sure, the prophets of Baal died, but the spirit that was operating in them didn't. And because that spirit was left unrestrained, it would just find somebody else to use, which is what happened. And this is the problem even today, that people keep trying to fight false prophets by exposing them, which is really just advertising them for free to those who are spiritually undiscerning. When the Bible clearly tells us in Ephesians 6 verse 12 that our fight is not against flesh and blood, but it is against spirits. So while we might be offended by the flesh, it is the spirit that we need to arrest. So here's what I believe that Elijah could have done. The reason Ahab and Jezebel were looking to kill Elijah was that they feared the authority of God's spirit in him. So Elijah could have raised up others like him by imparting God's authority and pouring the same spirit that was on him into others. Just like how Elisha received a double portion, or the 70 elders received a portion of the spirit that was on Moses. The problem, however, is that like many gifts that God has given mantles to in our lifetime, Elijah was willing to die with his instead of asking God if there were others. And there were others. In 1 Kings 18 verse 13, on his way to confront Ahab, Elijah met Obadiah, and Obadiah told him how he had hidden hundreds of God's prophets in caves when Jezebel was trying to kill them. What would have happened if Elijah had asked God and imparted what was on him onto them? Fortunately, we know because we have the answer. That's what Jesus did. In Luke 10 verse 17, Jesus sent out 72 disciples and he gave them his authority. And when they returned, they said to him, "Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name." So if Elijah had imparted the authority that God gave him onto others, those false prophets would have been irrelevant because their demonic power was inferior to the authority of God's Spirit. The way that we deal with false prophets and the spirits empowering them is by raising disciples with power, followers of Jesus Christ, who carry his power and are filled with his Holy Spirit.